Let me try that again. Good evening. Welcome to Creative Exploration. You are back once again with me, Purz. And tonight we're going to go through my latest project called Writhing Bodies. It's a 360-degree installation that I will be doing in Rome next week. Basically, I wanted to walk through how I conceptualized and figured out how to sort of visualize and then make the work that's required to fill a 360-degree sort of gallery. So basically, everything is projected out from the center onto the walls, projection mapped, and the deliverable for this project is just an extremely wide file. The resolution was 15,360 by 1200. So I had to figure out how to get there with Comfy. It was a bit of a struggle, but due to some stuff that I'd learned in the past, it wasn't as nearly as horrible as I thought it would be. And I ended up being able to use all kinds of cool things inside Comfy to make this happen. So I figured I would just sort of walk through the whole thing from the beginning and yeah, just do a big overview of the project and walk through how I did the, coming up with the ideas and then creating the pipeline to make it happen, figuring out the rules sort of for the work, and then how to visualize that in the space, and then how to present the deliverable materials at the end. So just sort of go through the whole shaboobula, and hopefully this will help if you sort of want to take an idea that you have and run it all the way to the finish line, like conceptually. So yeah, let's do it. So yeah, basically the project was a 360-degree gallery. So what I ended up doing was just mocking it up in Blender, and then turning the inside walls here into the screen itself, so that as it plays, you can sort of walk around in here and see what everything looks like. Or you can just like lock the camera and sort of watch the whole thing. But yeah, this step was very important for me to try to get an idea of the scale and conceptually what it would look like to tile these videos, stick them together, and put them in a room. So the project was pitched to me as sort of an overarching concept of us, the word us, the concept of us. So it got me thinking about what I normally do with my art, which is sort of, putting a mirror or a lens back up to the computer or seeing how the computer views us. I really enjoy that symbiotic nature, the combination of human and machine when we're working together for this kind of stuff. So it's interesting to me to explore how AI sees us as a species, how we move, how we do. And, a lot of this is also informed by what we train it to do. So, there's a lot of really interesting stuff in the mix there, but sort of the concept being like, what does the computer see when it looks back at us? And what have we taught it to see when it looks back at us? And to me, what that meant was trying to take a lot of these motion LoRAs that I've been rendering on one specific motion LoRA that I trained with a very specific motion of people turning over and moving up and to the right. So I used that motion LoRA as this is the piece that's going to tie the whole thing together. And all the clips were made with that motion LoRA so that they all have that same human motion of the body turning around and sort of moving its arm up and to the right. And then basically I took all of the input. I made a bunch of input images with Stable Diffusion and then used those to dream new animations. Use those animations to make video tiles with a tiled KSampler, and then tiling those videos across a long rectangular sort of screen, aka the 15360 by 1200. by tiling them and stitching them on the ends together, we make a perfect circle of videos that you can stand inside and sort of experience. So that was the overall idea, but how to accomplish that was kind of hard because figuring out sort of the mathematical logistics of like, should I use squares? Should I use rectangles? How many rectangles makes up, this sort of thing. So what I ended up doing was just taking let me just save this project here in Blender, start a new one. I took a simple plane in Blender and I thought, okay, so I knew the ratio is 12:1. The aspect ratio was basically 12:1. So I thought, well, if I split this up into sections, what is it, 11? So 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah. So if we break this up into even sections here, we've got 12 tiled videos from left to right as a square. Or if I wanted to make wide videos, it would be like 6 tiled videos side by side. So I ended up starting with 6 wide videos tiled, and it was working and it was doing okay. But what I ended up doing eventually was just making single square tiles and then tiling those because I was getting more resolution top to bottom, which is what I needed. So essentially what was happening was the animations that I was making, you couldn't see the floor. And what I really wanted was I wanted the floor in all the animations so that when you look at it in the room, the animations actually sort of push out into the room because they have a floor and a back. So it almost makes the room bigger as the animations come across. So when I was making wide videos, the cropping was causing it to sort of get too short and too skinny. And that was breaking the immersion that I wanted. So yeah, we ended up landing on square tiles there for that. And then basically I just made a workflow that makes square tiles. So I'll show you guys how to do that now. There's a special node here, node pack called Tiled KSampler by Flying Fire Co. You need this to do what I'm doing here, and I'm using the Asymmetric Tiled KSampler and the Circular VAE Decode to do this little magic trick. So start with a load checkpoint. And we'll just use a regular LCM one. You've seen me do this a million times, so I'm going to speed run this. If you have any questions about this, go back to my second steps video and you can follow along and build this all out in real time. But for today, I'm going to go fast because, yeah, we're just going to work through how we built this stuff. So we have our load checkpoint. We're going to load an LCM checkpoint. Now we just need a, let's do an IPAdapter. And first we need an IPAdapter unified loader. All right. Let me send the model through. You guys have all done this a million times, I'm sure. Clip out. We're going to need a clip text encode. We need 2 of those. So copy C, Control V. Grab the clip, plug it in. If you hit Control Shift V when you paste, you don't have to plug it back in. There'll be 2. So we'll plug the, let's add a KSampler. Actually, no, we're going to add the asymmetrical tiled KSampler. Asymmetric tiled KSampler. It works just like the other KSampler. It's just got a few extra options. So let's run all of our stuff in here like we normally do. Latent image, we'll get an empty latent image for this. We'll do 512 by 512 and we'll do 24 frames. And I'll just set all these settings to the LCM settings. So 11 steps, the FG of 2, LCM sampler, and SGM uniform. So those are the LCM settings. Let's add a VAE decoder and a video combine node. Oh, that's weird. There it goes. Image out to that, and whoa. Why does my video combine node have a VAE input now? What? That's interesting. All right. Let's pretend that we don't know what that means, because we don't. Before 13, save the output. Sure. And I'm going to put this in an explorations 24 FPS low res file. Okay. And we only have an IP adapter. We also need an AnimateDiff legacy loader. Context is a looped uniform context. Sample settings. We'll use empty for this, I guess. True. Turn that off. 1.15. T2V. LCM square root linear. Those are your settings for AnimateDiff. Animate LCM T2V. LCM greater than square root linear. 1.15. Don't apply the V2 models properly. True for these two. Everything else basically the same. In your sample settings, make sure your thing is set to empty. You can try different noise types. They do different things. Experiment. We run that through the model chain. And for this one, I'm going to add the motion LoRA that I generated called Writhing Bodies. All right. At about 0.5. So we have our checkpoint, our prompt. We have our IP adapter. We have our AnimateDiff stuff. We have the Asymmetric Tiled KSampler, and we have the video combined. So let's add a image scale to total pixels and a load image. All right. Let's change this to plus, and actually let's use a different one. I'm going to use my spaceflight LoRA, which is it's like a tunnel LoRA. We're going to try and tunnel through this image. We're going to try it. Tunnel might be interesting with tiles, but we'll see how this goes. So yeah, we're making tiles right now to fill a room. So we need to yeah, I know. Why does the video combine have a VAE in but no latency? It's strange. We'll see when it fails. But yeah, so we're going to make some tiles here. So let's try 4K tunnel. And I'll put NSFW nude because we don't need nude tunnels. And I guess we pop the VAE into the decoder in the video combine. Let's try it without and see what happens. This is new, my friends. I don't know what this is, so we're going to figure it out as we go here. Well, yeah, that should be the basic setup, right? Feels sort of right. Oh, I forgot to scale it to something reasonable. Let's scale it to like 0.56 or 0.6 or 0.7. All right, IP adapter's loading. AnimateDiff is loading. I forgot to set up my tile settings, so this is actually going to tile on all four sides. So yeah, this extra setting here in the Asymmetric Tiled KSampler is X and Y. This is what axes you want the videos to tile on. So right now it's going to tile top, bottom, and left and right. So X is left and right, Y is top and bottom. So for this, I don't need the tops and bottoms to tile. I only need the sides to tile. Hey, it's perfect. It's beautiful. So I'm going to turn off the Y and just have it tile on the X. And I'm also going to back this off a bit. And what else can we do here? That's just bad. Let's try this. Oh, I know what the problem is. I used the wrong VAE decoder. With this, you need to use the Circular VAE decoder, and that fixes the tile walls. So let's plug our latent into there, the VAE into there, and plug that into our image out. So now this will still be broken. The sides are going to be broken because I used the wrong decoder. But it should tile side to side. Yeah. So how can we test if this is tiling side by side? Well, we can add an image concatenate node. We can plug this in twice, one to the right, and then add another video combine just like the one beside it. Plug it in. I'm going to do one more thing too. I'm going to change the input on this KSampler node to the seed input, to seeds thing to an input, not steps, seed. Then I'm going to use a seed node over here. And I'm going to say fixed, and we're just going to set a seed, and we're going to plug the int into seed. So now when I do stuff, it'll just go until the next part and do the next thing. So it'll come in handy later when we're doing upscaling. You'll see. You'll see. And now the Circular VAE decoder is going to try and catch the edges and do that diffusion correctly. And then what we should get on this is this one will be one tile, but this one will be two tiles side by side, left and right. And there should be like no discernible difference in the middle. Like you should not be able to tell that they're tiles other than the fact that it's the same image. But yeah, you'll see what I mean in a second here, hopefully. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. So as you can imagine, you can just keep doing those out. And then the videos I made were just 12 of these out in a giant, in a giant circle. So yeah, let's try no motion LoRA. We'll just see what it does. Landscape, rushing water, pine trees. That weird lighting thing that we get with LCM sometimes. But yeah, as you can see, it's just like a, if we add another one of these. Three tiles. Or if you do six tiles, 4 tiles. I can do math. Let's see what it does with the thumbnail. This is probably going to be nonsense. I don't know why I do this stuff. This might be cool. Dare I dream? I don't know why my camera got all weird all of a sudden. What are you doing, camera? There, perfect. It's exactly what we put in. So yeah, sometimes the stuff will get all weird and distorted. You got to figure out what sort of stuff you want to do with this, but this is the concept, we're just making tiles and tiling them in places. So another thing we can do is then just go grab an init, try some clouds maybe, rainbow clouds. Yeah. And then we'll say 4K flying through the clouds. So conceptually, we have what we want to make the tiles. Now we have to figure out how to build that little room in Blender so we can sort of visualize what we're doing with these tiles. So let's see what this does. And if it looks good, we'll use this as a base to keep moving. Because what did we need, right? We needed, this is 1 tile and this is 4 tiles, but we needed 12 square tiles across to get to our target resolution, right? So if we wanted to use this, we would need 12. Do I have MTB nodes installed? No, I don't. So we're going to do this the gross way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So these concatenate nodes just put whatever images are together to the right of each one. So we need to concatenate another group of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you guessed it. Yeah. Oops. There we go. Hopefully that makes sense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Blah, 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 blah. All right, cool. And then push this out to here, and this should give us a big honking video. But it's now wide enough to wrap around in that space. Yeah, there are ones with dynamic inputs, but this is just conceptually what we're doing here. We're just basically tiling these. You can do this in other apps too. You don't have to do this in Comfy. But I like doing this kind of stuff in Comfy because once you have a workflow or a pipeline designed, you can just make sure your file names are saving correctly and just start working through a folder of images, whatever you want to do. Series of prompts and images that you've put together, blah, 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 blah. All right. So let's go into Blender and mock up the screen. So start a new, don't save. So all I really need to know is what, let me have my screen cap keys. There we are. Okay. So all I want to know is what it looks like in a cylinder. So let's make a cylinder. Let's have a look at the cylinder settings here. Oh, to do that, I hit Shift A and then went to Mesh, Add Mesh Cylinder. Sorry, I forget sometimes that I'm showing you how to do stuff. Okay. Why is this in the way? That's lovely. Okay. Let's make the radius like 4 meters and keep the depth at 2. That's fine. So this is kind of like the dimensions of the room, basically. It's enough to give us an idea of what it's going to look like as a circle. So we're going to hit Tab to go into edit mode, and we're going to switch it over to face mode, which is up here in edit mode. So Tab switches between edit and object mode. You'll be doing this a lot. So switch into edit mode, click on the little face thing, select the top face, hit X, and then hit delete face. Now that's going to get rid of the roof so we can see inside of our place. All right. So we need to hold down Alt and click on these faces to get access to just this part of the mesh. We're going to go down to our little shader window here, or like material thing. We're going to add 2 new materials. The first material is the floor. Whoa, caps lock. First material is the floor. Second material is going to be an emissive material, and it's going to be called screen. So the floor is a principled BSDF, but the screen is an emission shader. All right. So now the screen, if we look at this in rendered mode, we can see, one thing I forgot to do was go back in your tab mode, Alt click the face so that you get selects all the faces you want. And then blah, 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 hit assign to screen for this. Now the floor is assigned to this one that wasn't selected, and the screen is assigned to the rest of them. So now it's, shooting out white light as a screen. Get rid of this light. So instead of white light, we actually want to go into our shader editor. Let's bring this up. Go into shader editor. And we're going to go to our screen material. No, we're not. We're going to click on the screen, and that should, there it is. Click on the material over here. It'll bring it up in your editor. And now we want, instead of a color, we want to use a video or an image texture. That video we just made is in our outputs folder. So let's just download it real quick, save preview, hit the little thingy, and then it'll show up in your downloads folder. So then you can go over to, you can just drag it in to Blender and drop it as an image. So what I need to know is how many frames this is so that Blender can loop it. And I know it's 24 frames because that's how long I made the animation. So we're going to set the loop to 24 frames, and we're going to set cyclic and auto refresh. Then we're going to plug that into here, and we are going to add a control T, which will add a mapping node and a texture coordinate. And we're going to go, actually, I think UV will work fine for this. UV, and then we're going to play with our settings here until we get it perfectly aligned with the screen. So this is our mapping, our texture mapping here, and we're going to look at it and we can see, you know, what these are doing. This is obviously what we want. We want to, it's 2 meters high, so we want to scale it on the y-axis by 2. And now if I hit play, it should show us what it's actually going to look like inside the room, which is pretty sick. So this is a really quick way to visualize what you're working on, and then you can just start dropping clips in here. Just drop a different clip in here, replace, you know, plug the vector and plug the emission in, set the frames and set the cyclic and auto refresh. Then you can plug in multiple ones and do multiple things. You set up a camera inside here, move it around, and then do all your beauty shots, things like that. The other thing I did was I just modeled a few of the things that were in the room, so I just get an idea of what's going on. So I just added a little cylinder, add mesh cylinder, and we're just going to scale it down. We're going to go back to this material view so we can kind of see what we're doing here. And turn this on. And now I'm going to move this down, GZ to grab, G to grab, and then ZXY for the different axis so that you move it on a specific axis. We don't, when you're grabbing things in 3D space, you don't want them to sort of, you don't want to just grab them and move them willy-nilly because perspective is everything. So you want to be moving them along axes when you're grabbing them. So I'm going to grab GX, GY, GZ. G Shift Z will lock it to the X and Y axis. So yeah, you can, once you get comfortable with this, it becomes really easy to just start set up a room. So the room had like these little like tables in them. Actually, these are a little too big. So if you hit the period button, you can say to scale things on either the median point or their individual origins. So if you scale things on their individual origins, these 4 things I selected will actually scale independently. If I had it set to normal, which is median point, they're going to scale into the center of what I have selected. So yeah, you want to switch those to individual origins if you're going to work with, you know, multiple things. So I think that feels about right for the size of the tables. So I'm also going to add little rugs under the tables, which is actually like really easy to do. We just, if I hit, you know, I should have just done this from the first one. Actually, I'm going to do that. I'm going to work smart, not hard. So hit, / on anything in Blender, and then you can just, bypass everything else, basically solo it. So wrapped up the field when you see details. Good night, Purz. Happy I catch the stream. Yeah, right on. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. We're doing the thing. Vandalo, thank you for putting me in the piece. It's really awesome to be part of it. Vandalo curated the exhibition that I'll be taking part in next week in Rome. So check out his stuff, and Jovix and Mel and Skyclad and Taz and Sir Meon and good Lord, Danny, Cosmin, Workflow, Azaria, Hugh White Memes, Andy. Damn. Nice to see everybody. All right, so I'm going to just hit tab, go to this bottom piece, and I'm going to hit Control D to duplicate. And I'm going to hit S and then scale it out a bit. Big. I'm going to hit GZ to lock it to the Z axis. I'm going to hold Shift, and I'm just going to move it down until it's not intersecting with the other piece. So that is going to make a little rug underneath the table. And then the rug, I can add a solidify modifier over here in the wrench settings. And then I think we can just, oh no, that's going to do the whole piece. So we're going to separate that. Hit P to separate by selection because we still have the carpet selected. So I'm going to actually hit P and hit the button, and that's going to make a new selection here. And we're going to call that, this is the table and this is the carpet. So we're going to say carpet. We're going to say table. And we're going to put these in their own collection. So I hit M out here, new collection, table. So we have a carpet and a table because we're just going to, instance these collections once they're done. Actually, maybe the carpet's big enough to put the seats under. Or maybe it's just for the table and then the seats are... Yeah, that'll look slicker. All right, now that the carpet is separate, I can move it down a bit, make sure it's underneath the table. You can tell if things are intersecting by just looking at it underneath. There we go. And now this carpet, I'm going to solidify it to make it a little thicker. And we're just going to go like that. And then it's going to have a little thick sort of carpetness to it. Just a little bit. That's enough. All right, cool. And then we need little chairs. So we're going to take our table. We're going to hit G, Shift Z to move it over. And we're going to make sure it's on individual origins. And we're going to scale that down. And then S and Z, scale Z on the Z axis. And we're going to have a look at our Y here. Try to get it lined up to the floor. This one too, actually. We want it resting on the floor. There we go. Looks good. High enough? Or too high, maybe? Hard to say. Looks good to me. Little chairs. Let's add another one. Shift D, G, Shift Z. Shift D, G, Shift Z. Let's put these two close together. Yeah. There's little chairs, little table. Whoop-de-doo. Hit / to go back to unsoloing it. And yeah, we got our little chairs and our little table. And then for our chairs and our table, actually these guys we can rename. I forget how to rename all the files. So I'm just going to chair. You can spell. Chair. All right, cool. Do. Got our little chairs and our table. So we have these little tables. We can actually just drop a collection instance of table and then rotate it however we like. There we go. Oh no. All right, cool. So now we have a room with chairs and tables in it. And actually, one thing I'm going to do is everything got a little off to the side. So I think I'm going to grab all these and just, whoa, the offsets. The offsets. We don't want to move the offsets. Oh, I see. So just move the one. Really? That's crazy. This is totally not intended. YOLO. All right. Why are they all connected like that? Oh, because they're just collection instances. I did a stupid. Get out of there. Let's go back. Yes. Control Z in case you were wondering what I did there. Control Z a lot. All right. Carpet, chair, table. Yeah. Table 2. I'm just going to do this the old-fashioned way. Table 3. It'll be table 4. Okay, now I have separate collections, which is kind of what I wanted in the first place. Because when I go to median point now, I believe I can move all this stuff, together. Yeah. That's what I want. So let's grab this stuff and So we're just going to grab each one, rotate it a bit on the Z axis. That's RZ. And this one too, RZ. Like that. And we're just going to arrange them so that they look sort of like humans did it. Yeah, I kind of like that. That's vibey. All right, so we're going to set our camera right in the middle. Camera's going to go right to the middle. Select all this stuff and hit 0. Rotation X90, that's going to put your camera straight ahead. So your camera's going to be looking out. We go back to rendered view. And we're going to see that it's sort of like, a little crazy. So let's first things first. Just going to add a little area light above everything. So it sort of lights up the room a bit. There we go. We can see our stuff. We can see our camera. Let's look at our camera view. So the camera can't really see much. Needs to see more. So in order to do that, we're going to pull our perspective back a bit. That looks okay, but it's not great. Another thing we do is pull the camera back a bit so we can see more of the room. And then we can pull our camera perspective forward a bit. And that's pretty sweet. And now our camera, we can actually just rotate the camera on the Z axis. Oh, no, we can't because it's pulled back. If the camera's in the middle of the room, you could do this so that you could sort of, make a video, or you could just make paths for the camera and just make the camera follow the track of the path. So you could have long tracking shots where it's like panning over stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's the general idea. Just start building out the scene however you envision it. And then the other thing you can do is just rotate the entire, like everything but the camera. That's also possible. I think you just go open all this stuff up. Yeah, you could very easily just rotate them and this. And let the camera stay stationary. And in order to do that, all you have to do is just take all this stuff once you're done with it, once you're done playing with all the settings. You take all these and you just Control J them into one piece. Do that for each collection. And it's going to turn them into little, little pieces that you can grab and move around. And then once you have those, you can actually combine those into one. And now I just have one thing. So I can rotate that. If I go to median point. Oh, median point's got to be the center. I think you can do that with object, set origin to 3D cursor. Yeah. 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 So the origin point of your 4 tables is the center of the screen. Then when you rotate them, they will rotate. So you can then just say, I want the tables to rotate at frame divided by 800. And I want the screen to rotate by frame by 800. Hashtag frame by 800. And so when we look at this, our scene will be spinning, but our camera is totally stationary. So it's a really cool way to make like a cinematic, like trailer or whatever. Okay. HDR would be nice. It works. I plugged the world node background color. Shows reflections too. Yep, that works. What did you use for upscaling for the show? I got half of the way there with Comfy, and then the rest of the way I had to use Topaz. That was a specific use case where I had to use Topaz. Normally, you can get away with a lot of this stuff in Comfy, but yeah, going from 7860 to 15360 required some heavy lifting. But yeah, that's the basic idea. Visualize your space, set up a camera, light it, shade it, all that stuff. And then you get, you know, these really cool previs videos that you can see exactly what you're doing and how you're doing it. And yeah, so the only other aspect to the work that I really wanted to talk about was training motion LoRAs. So like, the most specific thing about the project, I think, is the way the motion is like similar from piece to piece. And that's only possible when you train your own motion LoRAs, really. I have a video on training motion LoRAs. I'm not going to get into motion LoRA training for this video, but yeah, it's a really way to put an indelible stamp on your work, because, you know, unless somebody else uses your motion LoRA, they can't really replicate the exact motion that you get out of them. So you find some interesting stuff, train some motion LoRAs, and that can become your sort of vocabulary for how you interact with these tools, or at least part of your vocabulary for how you interact with these tools. Yeah, I just use regular LCM samplers, Realism by Stable Yogi. Not a lot of, like, I use mostly IP adapters to control this stuff, but you know, you can just if you take your input image and your IP adapter weight, that at one, it's basically just looking at this and barely looking at this. But if you change that to like 0.5, this prompt starts to matter. So, you know, illustration of a black rose on fading paper. Like that, if it's something else at lower, it's actually going to affect this. So, yeah, it's important to understand the weights of IP adapters versus the prompt and how much each one interacts. And then you can go even further, masking IP adapters and doing multiple ones and things like that. I experimented a bit with masks that were in the center and then doing control net and stuff like that. It looked really cool, but I ended up with just doing the IP adapter and prompt thing for mine because it was giving me the most consistent results. It's really out there. Cool though. I don't know why it's flickering so much. Fighting with the prompt, maybe. Maybe because I use a realism model with illustration. That can happen sometimes too. But yeah, so then after I had these big tiles, I had to figure out what to do with them. So these were 512. These are 512 by whatever 512 times 12 is. 6144. And I needed 70. I need 15360 divided by 2. I need 7680 by 1200 divided by 2 by 600. So I needed to do one upscale pass on these to get them up to 768. And then I would downscale them to about 600 and then upscale them double with Topaz. So making sure to, when the crops happened, that the left and right side were unaffected. Oh, it was cropping top to bottom, but not right to left, which you can only really do by controlling the resolutions. That's a lot of trial and error, but you know, you'll have to go through that yourself. That's fun. But the key is to kind of like build a system like this that's just making the assets you need to make the thing happen. Oh yeah, the other thing I wanted to talk about was the shaders I made to make the transitions. I forgot about that. I made shaders in Blender that I made shaders in Blender for transitioning between the clips. So constant black and white shaders, and then I used DaVinci Resolve Fusion to set them to luminosity, so that when the clips change, we get these nice effects that actually like wrap all the way around the room. Left to right. I think it was like 250 for that one. 240. Yeah. And yeah, if you want to learn how to make these are, the last Blender stream I did, or the one before the one I did with E. I talk about how to make these masks and how to do this stuff in Blender. I would say 90% of this project was possible with free tools until I got into that resolution gray area where I needed to start working with these things at higher res. And then I needed to have Resolve and Topaz to get it across the finish line, like the full versions of those. So you can make these things at 71, 78, 60, whatever in Comfy. One of the problems is Comfy isn't great at huge video files, and Comfy and H.264 and H.265 have upper limits for how big you're allowed to make them. H.264s, I believe, are like 4096 by 4096, and H.265s are like 8196 or whatever it is. So you can't even make MP4s larger than 8K anyway. Like I had to use ProRes and stuff. But the cool thing about Comfy is it can actually save in ProRes. So you could technically save really huge videos in Comfy if the VRAM and the environment will allow it to happen without you sort of running out of RAM or running out of VRAM. It's all a big balancing act, and working with resolutions this large is just kind of annoying. But c'est la vie. Apparently, Pixel Pusher has made something on X just for me, but I'm gonna just check it real quick on my other monitor because that man has a tendency to make nightmares. Nope, this is great. Beautiful, nice and wide. Can you imagine that in a giant room? I can. Live reposting. Okay. So tiles, blah, 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 shader, blah, 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 blah. The shader thing in Resolve, I won't turn this into a Resolve tutorial. Basically, you just use Fusion. You plug the clip you made, the black and white mask, into the clip you want it to affect. And then you tell it in the settings to affect the luminance channel. And then you can invert the mask, and it will make the video above the video below do whatever you did on the mask, basically. So transition from one video to the next by putting the mask in between them and then having it do the thing. You just put the mask, in the thing. It's great. Works good, but I don't want to get into a Fusion tutorial right now because I don't even know Fusion that well. That was a total hack together job. That is actually pretty much the whole workflow. And then it's a matter of, generating content and, actually, what we could talk about is, one thing I like to do when I'm working on stuff is set up a folder of images and then do a bunch of runs. So let's say I have, a folder of init images, right? And I want to do a series of animations on that one folder. So let's see. There's actually quite a few ways to do this, but yeah, let's say I have this folder called Neon Screen. It has all these cool dudes in it, but I just want to iterate through and do 8 animations, one from each. So how do I do that? Well, in Comfy, you can actually use these things called math expressions. So this is just a little like helpful thing that I recently kind of learned and I think will help you too. So let's say I want to load an image path. Load images path. Load images path. Yeah. I'm going to paste the path in. So this is a path to images. So we have 8 images in the thing. I'm going to image load cap of 8. Sure. So I can just load all these 8 images into a batch, but it's not going to help me do separate runs for each one of these images. In order to do that, I need a math expression to do some stuff. So let's get math expression. And I think this is part of the Python GOS, ComfyUI. Python GOS. ComfyUI custom scripts. Pretty sure it's this one. All right. And so we have an expression. And the expression I want was A percentage B. Okay. A percentage B means this is the number and this is the maximum number of things before this number flips over again to the first number. And the idea being I wanted to go iterate all the way through to 8 images and then loop around again. So our A, so we're going to plug into A, we're going to plug in an incrementer node. It's just like a seed node. Int. And we're going to set that to increment and set that to 0. So this is going to increment from 0 to whatever. And then the B, I just need a integer. We're going to plug that into B, and the integer is 8. So I have 8 images in the folder. I know that. And the other thing I want to do is take this int and plug it into skip first images. So we're going to go here, skip first images, int into here. All right. And now, as I iterate through this image preview, let's grab these nodes and put them in a new workflow so you can see what the heck I'm talking about here. So this should, if I did the math correctly. Are you still running? What are you doing? It says running in another tab. There ain't no other tabs, homie. Index out of range. What did I do wrong here? Load cap. Oh, 0. Or 1. I'm just loading 1. Skip first image. I think my brain just exploded. I had this working just fine the other day. Let me look at my other workflow real quick before we go walking down the wrong woods. What did I call it? Folder iterator. Oh yeah, we're using incrementer. I don't think it matters, but whatever. Incrementer, that's from the Masquerade node pack. So set our max value to primitive integer. So set our max value to 8. That'll go in here and in B. And this int goes into A. Increment. And then that's odd. That should work. I love when I try to show something and it doesn't work at all. Friggin' math. Okay. Did I do this wrong? It should be working. What are you saying? What are you mad about? Got prompt. Try something real quick. 3. Word 1, word 2, word 3, word 4. Post. Index. You out. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. Go away. String show text. Just doing a little debugging here, folks. Yeah, something is broken. Is it possible it's just crashed? Wouldn't that be funny? Wouldn't that be hilarious? Okay, refresh. Okay, so this is working. I don't know what happened there. I think I crashed Comfy and then everything we did after that point was just nothing. Okay, so this is a fill node called prompt selector and it works on an index. So we are doing what I was just doing with images, but with a prompt here. So this is really exciting because I can say 4K. So each one of these lines is an index. So beautiful sunset. A stunning forest landscape, volcanic rock, and like, I don't know, lush green verdant forest. So now when I run it, it's just going to keep adding new prompts. So the cool thing about that is in Comfy, it has these extra options here for running batches. So I could say run a batch of 4 and hit go. And then it'll queue up 4 and it'll do 4 runs and do one of those prompts for each of those runs. So, you know, you can like make it blast through a series of prompts. You can make it blast through a series of folders. So like if I have, let's try it with the images again. I have a feeling this might work this time. So image, load image, path. Good Lord. All right. You. All right. Image out to preview image. And we're going to skip first images. We're going to load, image load cap is 1. The int goes into our skip. Yeah. So it's just going to keep going through the first 4 images in that folder for every run. So yeah, this was working. I was showing you the right thing. It was just not, it was just literally Comfy has crashed. All right. So we set this to 8 because there's 8. We know there's 8 files in that folder. And it's going to iterate through those 8 images. So now we can take this back over here, get rid of all this crap. Back over here. And we know we can get rid of our load image and we can plug this into here, plug this into here. So this is going to preview the image that we're currently on underneath our IPAdapter. And then I can say 4K neon person screaming. And I'm actually going to chill the hell out on all these tiles here. And we're just going to go back to 2. Yeah. All right. So what this will do is it's going to go through this folder here. I'm going to set this back to 0, the incrementer. So our incrementer is going to start at 0. It's going to start incrementing through until it hits 8. Then it's going to wrap around because of this math expression. Then it's going to tell the image loader which image to skip based on this number throughout 8 and then skip through back to the next one. So in our thing here, we're going to say extra options. We're going to do a batch count of 8. And then we just make sure that our file names are being saved into reasonable places, you know, like with names, LR tile. And then you just basically run that 8 batch count of 8. And what it's going to do is going to grab that first image and do a run. Then it's going to do the next image and do a run. So, you know, you could go through Midjourney, get a whole bunch of stuff that you've made in the past that all has a similar vibe, and then do this to do a bunch of runs while you're off, you know, having coffee or chilling out or whatever. So this is just a really great way to use Comfy to automate some of these things. You know, you're just sitting there hitting the button over and over again. You can automate that and walk away and go live your life. Come back and see what you got, and then, you know, weave a narrative out of the stuff that you've made. But yeah, here, let me zoom in on that. So anybody who wants to duplicate that can pretty easily do so. You do not need to use this increment or masquerade node. You can actually use just any node that can increment, any seed node, anything else. But yeah, so we got our path loader. You load the path in, you tell it to load one image load cap. Select every nth one means it's not going to skip any images. Turn skip first images into an input. Plug that into the output of the math expression. And the math expression is, this is sort of backwards, I know. This is our maximum value here. So we're going to change the name of this to max value. So the max value, as you can see, goes into the incrementer as the max value, which you don't need if you're using seed nodes. It'll just happen automatically. I'm just using that with the incrementer node. And then that goes into the B, and the A is the number of run you're on. And then this will return the number. So if you said 9 with 8, it would return 1 or 0 because it's looping around on itself. So now this is creating crazy videos, but it's making, you know, these cool tiles, and it's going video by video and doing its thing. This is a very disturbing video. And then, yeah, like you can just see they're all hanging out in whatever folder you've designated, and you can just kind of watch that folder, and they'll just keep appearing as they come out. Crazy. So yeah, automate your workflows, build out your exploratory stuff so that you don't have to spend so much time, you know, robotically clicking buttons and doing the thing. And yeah, life will get better, I promise. So I think that covers pretty much everything I wanted to cover for this whole process. You can use this same batch thing for that fill nodes thing I was showing you with the prompts. If you wanted to try different prompts with different images, you could have a randomized folder of images, randomized thing of prompts, and try different prompts with different images and get different combinations for wild hallucination. Yeah, Comfy, extremely powerful. Yeah, don't underestimate the batch stuff that we get with Comfy, because like automating this stuff lets you fail really quickly. And that's the best way to move forward, is to know what doesn't work so you can figure out what does work. And yeah, the organization, Skyclad just said, organization is really important. Work with the AI. Yeah, nothing is worse than an output folder just full of videos you're never going to look at again. So name your stuff. Give it names that make sense. I got this naming convention from Pixel Pusher. Low res up, you know, upscale 24, put the frame rate in. Oops, I'm accidentally saving these as ProRes. You know, if they're too fast, you can interpolate them. If they're, you could color match them to the original images using the color match nodes, KJ color match. What else, man? There's so many fun little things to do with Comfy. But yeah, once you have all your clips, then you got to take them all and you got to weave a narrative out of them and try to build a story as opposed to just, you know, slamming a bunch of clips together. So that part is less easy to teach, you know, that just takes practice and just doing it. But yeah, our 8 videos are done. So in the time it would have taken me to actually run, you know, maybe 4 of those, it ran 8 of them. So yeah. And I could have just gone and, you know, watch TV for a while, come back, see what I made. Do your settings, do 8 more, set up a different folder, set up a different prompt, do your thing. You can use prompt travel with this stuff too. You know, yeah, man. That's the beauty of Comfy is the modularity. So just plug stuff in and see what it does. Blender. Yeah, we got our thing. Yeah, man. I think that's literally the whole process. We take these shaders, use them to transition between clips. Oh, another cool thing is in Comfy, when you save these, you can tell it how many loops to save of the video. So 0 just saves 1, but if you say like 8, right, it'll, when you save it, it's going to make a video that loops 8 times and then, you know, ends. So instead of doing that in your video editor, you can actually process a whole folder of images. So like now that I have all these, that's actually one thing I can cover. Now I have all these, right? These 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's say these were all winners. Now I have this folder of videos, right? I can hit Control C on this folder of videos, open up VS Code or like any proper you know, text editor, and then paste it, and it's going to paste your files out. And I know this part sucks, and you can actually do this with find and replace. I just don't exactly know how to do it with VS Code. You just got to put them all on separate lines. No big deal. Okay. So now I have all these thingies. I can actually use Phil's prompt node to iterate through a folder of videos to do some stuff. So let's say I wanted to upscale all the videos in that folder, but I didn't want to like do it manually. You could just go create a new one. Let's clear that. Oh, no, I don't actually do want those. I'm just going to make them all inputs to make this node smaller. There we go. Basically, I need to feed the index into the index and these into the prompts. So what that's going to do then is every time I run it, oop. Oh, do you guys really need inputs? Okay. You can have inputs. What it's going to do is then spit out each file as you do each batch. So now all I need to do is feed that string into a load video node. and you just change the video to input, and then plug this in. This string in, right? Or is it path? Oh, it's the load video path node. I like it when I say stuff I don't know with absolute authority. Video to input. There we go. So that's going to feed that string in as the input for each run. Okay, so if I spit that out and do a video combine, that's annoying. Image 24, before 13, no save. So what this should do is start on one video and load it, and then do the next video and load it, the next video and load it. So we've just done what we did with the, the images, except with videos in a folder. There is a few nodes for actually doing this, like iterating through a folder of videos. I believe Spence has one in the CSP nodes. But this is just sort of, this is how this kind of works. So I'm trying to explain, what's going on under the hood here. But yeah, then if I wanted to upscale all these videos, I would just add an upscale using model. We'll just use the ultra compact 2 times for now. And then let's save this as explorations upscale 2x ultra. RPS 2x ultra. So yeah, now it knows it's saved, it's below, it's good, and we hit send this to 0. All these are good. And we say batch count of 8. And run the queue. And then it'll just, upscale a batch of folders. So like, I know this stuff seems utilitarian and boring and stuff, but these are just really great ways to interact with your media. If you want to batch process stuff that you've made, make, batch runs, batch this, batch that. You can batch anything. So yeah, get batching, get making, get exploring, and yeah, send me what you make. I want to see it. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for checking out all this cool stuff. And I'm sure by next week there will be nodes that make all this stuff obsolete. So tune in for that. Yeah, love you guys. Thanks for coming and hanging out. I appreciate it every time. Hit up the Patreon, hit up Purz.xyz for links, and I'll be posting more about the Writhing Bodies exhibit in Rome next week. So yeah, hit me up, give me love, and I will reciprocate. Yeah, thanks everybody. See you all real soon. I got some special guests coming up in the next couple weeks, and I will announce them very soon. All right. Drive safe? I don't know. Keep her between the snowbanks, as they say up here. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you soon.